Everyone, Nick Young from Primary Ed Studies. We've put this video together. I've been chatting to a lot of my students, and a lot of the students have said in my personal tutor meetings they weren't really aware of the mental health support that's available at the university. There's some brilliant support on offer. So I've got Neil Davis, Head of Student Wellbeing, with me. Hi, Neil.
Hey, how you doing? Hi, guys.
Thanks. So yeah, loads of services you guys offer. So I just wanted to make this quick video to sort of flag to students, you know, mental health's hugely important. University is probably a small part of their life. Life is the bigger part that's actually probably happening for them at the moment. So if you wouldn't mind just giving us a bit of an overview of what you do and what the service do, would be brilliant in this video.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah, we can run through what we do and the support we offer, how we offer it, and also how you guys can access it too. That's not a problem at all. So in terms of what we do, so we're here to provide you with advice and guidance around things like support with your studies, any barriers to learning you might be experiencing. Maybe you might need support with a specific issue around your mental health. It could be well-being. What we also do then is we will meet with you in the first instance. We will explore what difficulties you're having. We'll talk to you about the type of support you could benefit from. Part of that will involve us working with you, but also your course, because that's our primary sort of function, is to make sure that you are able to remain in your studies, to progress and to ultimately get your degree. So that often involves speaking to your course on your behalf, or attending meetings with you and you know, your teachers or your lecturers. That's a big part of what we do. Other work that we do is with external agencies too, via our advisory team. So we do a lot of work with GP practices, but we also engage with the NHS more broadly, and third sector organisations. So in terms of mental health too, we've got a partnership going with Cardiff Met, and they provide some of the support that potentially you guys can access throughout your studies too. And I'll run into what exactly that type of support is and what it looks like, and how you get into it in a little bit too. From a mental health perspective too, we also manage risk. So students that might have previous sort of complex issues, or you know, self-harm or thoughts of suicide and stuff, we work closely with students to make sure that we help manage their risk as well. So that's part of it. And our overall ethos is to promote student independence and self-reliance. So it's actually to help you develop skills and strategies to help you manage your health, your mental health, in conjunction with your studies too. So that's a big focus for us. We don't do it for you, we support you, and we do it with you, kind of thing. But the ultimate aim is to teach you some of those additional skills and strategies that you need for life after university, really. So yeah, so that's what we do in a nutshell. So how we do it, that was a nice little fade out then.
Loving your animations there.
So access to the service is all through our online wellbeing triage form, and I've got the link for that in a slide in a little bit. It'll probably take you about 10 minutes to complete, and then within that form we ask you a bunch of questions basically. So it's what your particular issue or difficulty might be. Maybe you've got a diagnosis. We ask you a question around what level of risk you've got, what impact that has on you on a day-to-day basis, and what impact that has on your studies. And then at the end of the form, then after taking all that information into consideration, then we will make a recommendation for support for you, okay? And then part of the team will reach out and contact you, tell you what's going to happen next, and then make you an offer of an appointment with whatever service. So, and I'll run into the different types of services now. So we have an advisory team, so a team of wellbeing advisors, and they're there primarily to deal with support with your studies. So they're the guys that you'll meet with first, discuss what you've got going on, and like I said earlier, they might be supporting you to talk to your course about, you know, what support you might need. They might be there to help you engage with the GP or other NHS services or other third sector organisations too. And usually they're your primary point of contact throughout your studies, because obviously things don't, it's not linear, things are good at times and they may be not so good at other times, and we are there to help problem solve and overcome any of those barriers that you might be experiencing. So your advisor is your primary point of contact as you go through your studies. We support a range of issues, so Nick mentioned specifically mental health, and that's a big part of what we do, but we also support with disabilities, medical conditions, dyslexia, autism spectrum conditions, ADHD, and everything and anything really. So often conditions don't come by themselves. They come as a package sometimes, and we're used to dealing with all of those too. Our services are all confidential, and the advice is impartial, non-judgmental, all of those type of things. So and your advisor can run through with you our confidentiality policy and what that means in practice, etc. So we have a counselling team that is free for students and is accessible throughout the year, and often lots of students will be referred to counselling from their wellbeing triage form. We also have self-help resources we can refer students to, and active monitoring, so that's guided self-help, which is a 6-week program which Cardiff Met run, which we have a partnership with. So that's a bit more in-depth, and that's been demonstrated to be really effective for things like anxiety and depression, primarily, but also things like bereavement support that they can support with too. We have a cause for concern process, so if you're concerned about a classmate or a fellow student, housemate, anything like that, then you can report your concerns to the university via our cause for concern. The link is in the next slide. Often students do report their concerns via this process to us, and then we reach out and we make an offer of support to that student, and then we'll tell you that we've actually been in touch with our student. We can't share that much more information because of confidentiality, but we do update you in terms of what actions we've actually taken. Next point is about individual support plans. So if you engage with our program, every student with our department, every student will get an individual support plan, and which is what we share with your course, outlining what your needs are and what support might be beneficial for you to be able to continue to access your studies. So that's a key document that you are part of creating, and then we share with your course too. Some new things that we've added to the department this year: we've got a wellbeing practitioner, and they run a series of workshops which are open access, so anybody can join them on a range of different subjects. So for example, I think we've got 9 workshops running currently. So one of them might be anxiety management. We've got one on sleep. We've got a walking and talking therapy group that you might be interested in. We've got groups around motivation or maintaining a healthy lifestyle. So there's a whole range of different things that you can access, and those run regularly, I think every month. So that's something that's accessible. And again, I've got the link for that in a later slide too. Don't know what I'm doing for time here, Nick.
No, fine, yeah.
I won't go on too much. I've just got some examples of some support within this particular slide, guys. So this is actual academic support that you might be able to access as part of your studies. You meet with an advisor. They would talk to you about what medical evidence you would need, and they can guide you through the whole support process. So that's so you wouldn't have to work it out all on your own. But at the end of that process, then some of the different types of academic support you may be able to access would be specialist study skills. So that could be a weekly meeting with one of our tutors, and they can help with anything from effective note taking to exam preparation to researching and referencing to academic writing. So yeah, that's a really beneficial and really well used resource that students usually report back that they find very positive and really helpful and makes a big difference to their degree program kind of thing. So the study skills is one element. We also have a team of mental health mentors, and again, that can be a regular appointment for you, and the mental health mentor will help you look at the impact that your mental health issues might be having on your day-to-day and also on your studies, and come up with skills and strategies that you might be able to develop and use to work around some of those things, so you're able to continue to engage with your studies too. And then finally, we have a team of support workers, and they do a range of different tasks, from like library support to practical support in labs and the art studios, but they also do note taking too, so they can take notes for those that maybe couldn't attend a session because of a particular medical condition or a mental health issue. And similarly for the practical side of things too. So we have a team of support workers able to support students in those sorts of areas. So that's just a bit of a flavour of what the types of support you could get if you engage with the team too, on top of everything else I've said. Right, next slide. Right, so here's just some referral routes. So the link for our wellbeing triage. So as I said earlier, that's the main route into the team. So you just complete that form, and then we come back to you with an offer of support. Cause for concern I've run through. The retention team, God, I forgot to mention that. So if a student, and again, this is a new thing for us this year, if you decide, if for some reason, you've experienced some difficulties, it could be academic, it could be personal, and you've sort of disengaged with your course and you don't really know how to re-engage and speak to your academics, then the retention team is there. They can help you bridge that gap. They can talk to you about what barriers you've got to returning to study, and then they can support you back into the process. They can talk to your course on your behalf, set up meetings, etc., etc. So the retention team is there, and students can refer directly into that. But also, Nick, you guys can refer into that as academics if you have any concerns over about a student too. So that's that. And then for any general queries, anything that you're not quite sure if it fits into any of these categories, if you email Wellbeing Support, then one of the team can direct your query to the most appropriate person or the most appropriate team. And
I just add in there as well, I mean, on our course, Primary Ed Studies, quite small university, and I think one of our unique selling points is that we know our students really well. If you wanted to access any of these as well, speak to a member of staff, definitely a personal tutor as well, and we can put you in touch. I'm going to put all these links in the comments for the video, but it's just to sort of flag that there are all these different things, these amazing services that loads of our students are using, and just wanted to flag to you. I think on the last slide you've got the 24-hour line as well, which is really important, I think.
Yeah, so just on this final slide, guys, just some other useful information. So there's a link there for the wellbeing workshops, and it says when and how you access them. So that's that. If you haven't registered with a GP, another really important point, that often students don't realise they need the GP until they really need it, and then if you're not registered, then that can really hold up any of your treatment and et cetera. So it's really easy. It didn't used to be for a student, but as of the last 18 months, Campus Doctor has been established, and you can do all your registration stuff online. They'll even tell you where your local GP is. So just follow that link and you can register online. So that takes a lot of the legwork out of that for you. Or if you're living in halls or anything like that, then you can speak to your halls provider, and they can tell you about your local GP practice too. If anybody has need of any out of hours support, then rather than just rocking up to the hospital or turning up at 2 A&E, they encourage all students to ring the NHS CAV 24/7 number, and then they will either get a doctor to give you a call back, or they will say, yeah, you need to come in and you need to see us. But at the moment, obviously with COVID and everything else, they don't want people just turning up at A&E. So that's the number that you need to contact as a sort of an emergency situation. Obviously, if it's life-threatening, then 999 is always the number to call. But if you're kind of unsure and you don't know where, that's the number to ring for advice in the first instance. And then I've just included Samaritans as an out of hours and across the weekend type of call if you're struggling in any way or you feel at risk. And Papyrus, they are an organisation that supports young people with suicide awareness and suicide prevention, and they've got a hope line, and that's the number for that. If you ever feel that it's a desperate situation and there's somebody you need to talk to, then those two numbers are always really useful too.
Great.
So I don't know whether that was 5 minutes, Nick.
No, that's brilliant. I mean, the main message I want to get across, so speaking to my students, my personal tutees, and we were just having a chat as well, across the 3 years, it's not going to be linear. there are going to be times when, you know, you're absolutely fine, and there'll be times that you may need some support. So I think the main message to get across is there is all this support. You know, some is going to be more relevant than others, but I think it's just, you don't have to suffer in silence if you are suffering, that there is all this available to help you. So
that's a really good point, and I would echo that. What I would say, guys, even if things are okay at the moment, but you're aware that you do have you can struggle and you do have difficulties, or you might even have a diagnosis and you haven't told anyone about it first, then it's probably worth engaging with a team, because that way we can. It's the support doesn't. It's not something we force on you. You know, it's better to make all the arrangements now and have the support there and not need it, rather than desperately need it and not be able to have it, because all of these things, they're usually part of processes and they do take time to set up too. So I would encourage everyone to be proactive, and if you think that any of this stuff applies to you or could be beneficial, then please do get in touch.
Great. Cheers, Neil.